Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is JGB Spartan, and today I'll be bringing you guys another Crunker.io review. Since you guys loved my previous iteration of this, and because a lot has changed in the past several months, all that made me realize I should probably do another one of these videos again. In this episode, I'll be giving my review of some of the biggest things added in the past several updates since 1.0 that have had a substantially large impact on gameplay. The first thing I want to talk about is the major change to the main menu. Originally, the homepage just had loadout, servers, account, and store, but thanks to the redesign, players can now see how many credits they have, what their rank is, host custom games, view the server browser, sign into their account, adjust game settings, and more, all with one click. One new addition to the main menu and the credit system was introducing 150 free credits every 12 hours. This was changed recently to add advertisements before you get said credits, but it's something I don't have a problem with turning off ad block for because it supports the developers. One other thing that I really like is the changes to the game's particle system that have made it much more enjoyable. Ejected shell casings, bullet holes, and muzzle flash can now all be disabled. Changes to the main menu have also been present in the new downloadable launcher, which unfortunately is only available to Windows users. However, I believe the developers have intended on making it available for other platforms in the next few weeks. One of the coolest things exclusive to the launcher that makes it an absolute necessity is the Utilities tab. Some of the more useful settings are the option to unlock frame rate, more on that later, hiding full games from the server browser, having a def counter on screen for more accurately tracking your KD, and being able to customize your crosshair. This is all really cool, and I am glad to see the old, bland, convoluted interface being replaced with something that actually makes it worthwhile. That being said, I do have a couple of suggestions for upcoming updates. One that I've had that's actually being worked on in the beta version of the game is adding a map voting system. My take on this was that players could queue up for a particular map or game mode similar to early Modern Warfare games or Black Ops 2, and that the server would automatically match players' search criteria with the first or most available server. I feel like this shouldn't be a difficult mechanic to add. I happen to know of several other games like Roblox that have this same feature. Instead, the way that it's being implemented involves the voting process beginning at the end of the match. My other suggestion is that, for whatever reason, I'm getting either worse or similar frame rates in the launcher despite having unlimited FPS enabled. I've also had issues with ping. Oftentimes I'll either have my ping spike every so often, or have it constantly labeled as undefined. As I said, this usually happens within the launcher and not the browser version of the game. Regardless, I'm happy with the layout of the new main menu, the launcher, and the greater accessibility they both provide. Next, I want to talk about some of the changes made to the maps currently in rotation. First, Berg was given a large visual overhaul, which not only added a ton more shipping containers, more scenery, and a hole in the wall near the back of the map, but also fixed a laughably easy out of bounds glitch. Little Town also had a pixel walk glitch where players could get on top of the roof of the red building. This was also patched out, and honestly, I didn't think that was possible to begin with. The biggest changes map-wise were including Canyon, which has since been removed, Sandstorm, and Sub-Zero. Now, for those of you out there who play CSGO, rest assured that last one does not have a submarine or a confusing vent system. Aesthetically, it blends elements from CSGO's map DE Austria and the Arms Race map Monastery. Out of all the official maps that have been added to the game after Berg, Little Town and Sub-Zero are two of my favorites. Honestly, I don't really care for Sandstorm all that much. The hardpoint locations are hard to get to quickly and efficiently, and Canyon had small lanes and insanely easy out-of-bounds glitches that made it absolutely awful. Sub-Zero had similar issues early on in terms of collision and particles affecting frame rates, but those were quickly fixed. This map has a great blend of open space and restrictive corridors, but I never feel like I'm going to be spawn camped or have little room to maneuver in. That's certainly not the case with Sandstorm, as 3 of the more common spawns are really small and easy to get kills from if you're constantly b-hopping back and forth between them. I did notice a couple of spots that have the potential of disrupting gameplay on Sub-Zero, but the map feels very solid nonetheless. In terms of game modes, Team Deathmatch was removed alongside Canyon, but was brought back fairly soon, I think, when Sub-Zero was introduced. Next, Capture the Flag is a brand new mode that I've actually had quite a bit of fun with. Not only do you have the ability to get lots of points for capturing and returning the flag, killing the flag carrier, and even picking up the flag, but the matches feel a lot more fast-paced and intense than any other mode currently in the game. The only issues I have with it have been the way ownership of the flag affects spawning, the closeness of the objectives, and trying to make a comeback if your team's getting steamrolled, but I suppose that's all par for the course. The movement system is also one that got a pretty big rework. One of the coolest things added to the game is the ability to slide, similar to Titanfall 2 or Call of Duty Black Ops 3. It's performed by crouching while in midair, and it's by far one of my favorite things to do on wide open maps like Little Town and Sandstorm. For maps whose objectives are further away, the system's even better and more efficient than bunny hopping in terms of getting from point A to point B, no pun intended. Getting a kill in this way grants you a 50-point drift kill bonus, and considering the number of people I've died to jumping around like Mario in a speedrun, it's really not all that hard to get. I think the fact that you can chain these to get some insane speed is the only reason people consider this mechanic broken, but this adds to my list of reasons why this game actually takes skill to play. Lastly, I want to talk about some of the major and minor changes to the classes, which in my opinion have all significantly played a role in changing the meta. One change made to each class was changing the firing and headshot sound effects, nothing too major. For classes that have a secondary, the Desert Eagle and Ray Gun, the Alien Blaster, have been added as options. I feel like the two are pretty interchangeable, although the Alien Blaster exchanges less ammo and faster damage drop-off for more accuracy. One change made to Triggerman, Run and Gun, and Marksman was the addition of red dot sights. Speaking of which, I feel like Marksman was probably affected the most out of all the classes. Initially, after its damage was nerfed, it was almost completely useless. While its fire rate was buffed later on, it still just couldn't compete with the other classes. Later, the recoil and ADS were completely reworked, which has made it much more powerful and viable. Spray and Pray was hit pretty hard, which decreased its ammo capacity down to 60 and increased the reload time. Despite the several changes made to Vince's range, spread, and damage, he still seems to be a force to be reckoned with. And remember what I said about Detective, how I didn't think it was viable in this game? Yeah, big mistake. I've been eating my words since I made that video. There's basically been zero changes made to it aside from a slight visual recoil buff. I'd really like to see actual changes being made to its damage and accuracy, which right now it can one-shot most classes and has no damage drop-off compared to Hunter. A rather new class added shortly after 1.0 came out was Agent, a class that fires 18 rounds from akimbo Uzis. With no way to really aim, it's best if you crouch before firing as it'll make your shots way more accurate. Its rather low damage, high mobility, short range, and low hipfire accuracy make it akin to Tracer from Overwatch, kind of like a proverbial fly on the wall that's so elusive and hard to counter. You'll often find them on smaller maps like Berg CTF and FFA. Finally, there's actually a melee system that will be expanded on in the next couple of updates. As mentioned in my last review, I didn't think it was necessary and liked its absence, and that if it was added, I didn't want it to be broken, like Modern Warfare 2's Marathon Lightweight Commando perk combination, or Ghost's broken knifing animations, but the way that it's being handled so far has actually been pretty balanced. One example of this is the Runner, a class that for a while was only available in custom games and is now available in standard game modes. His only attack is a 2-hit kill punch that relies pretty heavily on flanking and getting close to your opponents. You'll often see people using him in Capture the Flag because of his quick mobility, but he doesn't get as much use in Hardpoint because he's really not a stationary class. Going forward, the developers have started working on a tertiary melee option for their classes and a new class that will have a burst rifle and riot shield, the former most likely being the FAMAS. Data miners have found what looks to be like an icon for an automatic secondary visually similar to the Tech 9. It'll most likely be unlocked around the same rank as the Deagle, and while it'll deal the same amount of damage as the default pistol, it'll obviously have a higher fire rate. Overall, with the exceptions of Vince and Detective, the Crunker devs have definitely done a great job at making sure each class is balanced to one another. In general, I've been really happy with the changes made to the game since 1.0, especially when it makes me feel like I'm playing a completely different game. As I said before, I really like the new main menu and the new launcher, but kind of feel bad for the people that can't access it. It needs some work, sure, but it's still really cool to be able to play without a weapon model and with a crosshair at the same time. Sub-Zero is a great map that I think would be fine for Hardpoint, but we'll just have to see. I love the added ability to slide, which despite my hesitance to play Hardpoint makes it a bit more tolerable. And finally, I love the fact that almost all of the classes have changed in ways that make them much more fun to use. Some of the stuff I've heard planned for future updates involve a new Battle Royale mode, which in my opinion is a trend that's kind of dying, a friends list, a report feature which may get abused if you're a good player with a tendency to pub stomp people, and new maps. Obviously, this means that the developers will have much more work cut out for them, but considering what's been added to the game so far, I really do have high hopes for what's to come. If you guys enjoyed the video, as always, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, tell me if you guys like this review, and I will talk to you all later.